21-day meal plans. It's good on paper. You will be able, or you might be able to follow it through the 3 weeks. But what are you learning out of it? The answer almost always is nothing.
Welcome back to the Holistic Hormones Podcast with me, Dr. Ami Patel, pharmacist and hormone consultant. I've transformed my pain, struggle, and journey with managing my PCOS into my passion to support women to gain freedom from their hormone imbalance symptoms. On this podcast, I share practical tips that have worked for me and my clients, as well as conversations from experts in their field. Welcome back to the Holistic Hormones Podcast and YouTube channel. Today is a guest episode, and today we have the honor of having Surina here with us today. Surina is a research scientist in biotech turned program manager. Her own weight loss experience and passion to learn more led her to work on her nutrition certification and eventually into coaching busy women and moms for losing weight. And her and I connected over Instagram. We have a lot of the same philosophies of how we believe weight loss should be approached. And so that's why we connected, and I'm really excited for our conversation. So thank you for being here today, Surina.
Thank you for the introduction. It's always great chatting with you. And yes, we did connect because we share kind of same beliefs around how we should go about our weight loss and everything related to our health.
Yes. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into this space? I know that you're a mother of 2 and managing your own health while raising kids. I'm sure that it can be really time consuming having that. So yeah, if you could just share how you got into this.
Yeah, sure. So yes, I started working on, I was always a little bit conscious about my health, but a little it was more on the looks. And because I was looking at me, I was fine. I was slim, so I didn't bother too much about various things. I was just active just for but it wasn't trying to lose weight specifically because I never needed to lose weight before. And after becoming a mom and once I stopped breastfeeding, that's where I started to gain weight because I didn't have the right foundational knowledge. So I didn't realize why I was gaining weight. And besides, just your lifestyle changes once you have kids, your sleep pattern changes, your time you're dedicating to yourself generally decreases. So you're not doing many of the things you're doing pre-kids. So it's the whole lifestyle change, which affects almost all the moms. Yeah. That's where I started more into, okay, rather than going on any diets, doing crash diets, let me kind of learn, understand this. Although from biochemistry perspective, I did understand, but I had never looked at it from how to incorporate all those things at a sustainable pace to see results. So that's where I started learning. I had a coach after my son was born just to get into the fitness with the help of a coach who was the specialist in postpartum fitness. So I started there just because I didn't feel at that time I had the right knowledge to work on it by myself. And after that, as you mentioned, I just wanted to do the certification to increase my own knowledge. And then it kind of organically led into the coaching area that I wanted to coach other women too. So that's how I ended up in this.
It's so interesting because that's I feel similar to my story and other women that I've had on the podcast. It's we start with the passion for wanting to know just for ourselves and improving our life, and then we see the benefits, and then we're oh my God, how can we not share this with other people, right? It's when you see a sale, you're oh my God, I have to tell all my best friends, hey, this is on sale. And yeah, I totally agree. It's you want to help others have that same transformation that you've had because you know that how amazing it can be.
Yeah, so one thing which I think after you become a coach, looking from that perspective, I guess my sisters, I've always joked, I have two younger sisters that I go into this education mode. So they have always made fun of me. Of course, because they are my sisters. But after becoming a coach, one thing which I have understood is that the person in front of you should be ready to make the change. That is the
Yeah.
most critical thing, right? Sometimes we are aware of what we need to do, but we are not ready to do the work. So now, as a
Oh,
coach, I do understand after going through that sort of training, I do understand, like, yes, I can be here and give, as my sisters like to, educational lectures, but one thing, it needs to be put out in a non-scientific way for people who do not understand those terminologies, and sometimes they get scared. So break it down, simplify it enough, but also understand that someone might not be there yet. So once they're ready, they're going to
yeah.
show up in a completely different way, continually show up. And that's where you will see the progress. So that is one change I had to do in my mindset of like, yes, I can see a
Yeah.
problem. Maybe they cannot yet, or even if they do see a problem, they are not ready to make a change. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point because that person's inner why has to be so much stronger to get them through like the challenges, to make the changes, to put in the effort. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's such a good point. And it's like that saying, like you can take the horse to the water, but you can't
But make
force the horse to
make
drink
it drink.
water or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, definitely. The next question I have is, can you tell us a little bit why, like what your thoughts are on meal plans and why like 21-day diets hardly work?
Yeah, so meal plans, I know everyone feels like they need meal plans, right? That's what they ask for, that's what they come hoping you'll get meal plans. But meal plans, in my experience, in my own experience, when I was beginning my weight loss journey and now seeing around, they're very restrictive. Like you have meal plans, it looks good on paper that you know exactly what you need to eat, how much you need to eat. But life comes in the way. It will always happen. You have an impromptu gathering with your friends. So you're not
Yeah.
going to have the meal which was on that paper. So now, like with if you don't have the knowledge, that meal plan is going to make you feel confused or make you want to say no to those plans. And nothing of that sort will last for a long time. And what most people end up doing is like, oh, I cannot do this. And then they go back to doing whatever they were doing before. Same thing with 21-day meal plans. It's good on paper. You will be able, or you might be able to follow it through the 3 weeks. But what are you learning out of it? The answer almost always is nothing, because you were just prescribed that diet and you didn't learn
Yeah.
anything. You will see results for sure, but what happens after 20-day period? And that's why I'm not a fan. Like sometimes these like challenges and all that, but 3 weeks is not enough time to learn anything or to learn it in a proper way to be able to then implement it once you have that guidance taken away. So that's why my approach is, yes, you will get meal plans, but it's the sample recommended meal plan based on what you normally eat, but that gives you flexibility. If I'm saying rice, but you happen to have pasta because you're out having dinner, you understand, like, okay, this will translate this way, and I can have pasta and how to make it more balanced, how to still meet your goals. So that's why I don't do meal plans the way people traditionally think meal plans are.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I agree with that concept. It's basically like you were saying earlier, right? Like the foundation. Like you want to teach people the foundation. It's not about here, just follow this and you're fine because it's not realistic to keep up with at all. And I feel like sometimes people think it's easier, like, oh, just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. I'm so motivated. This is it. This is going to be the thing. I'm committed 21 days, right? But okay, that's fine for 21 days, but what about like the rest of your life, right? Like, or you're not going to eat the same 21 meals for the rest of your life.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And so speaking of meals and incorporating with your diet or the way you eat in your lifestyle now, like how can people increase more protein? Because a lot of my listeners and viewers tend to be like South Asian and vegetarian. So what are some tips for that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm vegetarian, but I do eat eggs. But I also
Hmm.
understand many people don't eat eggs also. I
Yeah,
do
I
eat
don't.
eggs, but it's not like every day. I eat eggs. I didn't grow up eating eggs, so it's not still not something like I have always had eggs in my breakfast, for example.
Right.
Vegetarians, there is a notion that, oh, you're a vegetarian, especially among South Asian, or that's why we cannot. So there are two camps. One thing, we are vegetarians, so of course, because we're not eating chicken, so we cannot meet our protein goals. Or the other camp is, but we eat dal every day. So of course we are good on protein. So you have to understand that almost, not almost all, many of the vegetarian protein sources are also higher in carbs or calories. So you have to balance that part out. So, for example, dal for a person eating meat is considered a carb source. Beans also,
Mm,
but for vegetarians, yes, that becomes your source of protein, but you have to be mindful of how much you are eating. But it's definitely possible. Some of the things I like to include in my diet is tofu, edamame,
mhm,
Greek yogurt. I like milk is not a super great resource, but I know many South Asians are big on dairy. So milk, yes, you if you can, you're taking it as a snack. There's also that Fairlife brand where you have almost double the amount of protein in
mhm,
the same portion. So that, and then beans, of course, we have like beans, chickpeas on rotation. But then how are you complementing it
right.
extra? Like you can add like little thing like you can add hemp seed powder to boost up the protein in your smoothies, or you're making pasta, like add nutritional yeast to it. It's not a lot, but it's like how you're supplementing what is already there. For pasta, instead of having regular pasta, you can have protein pasta, so that increases the amount of protein. So these are some of the things
Mhm,
which are like kind of on rotation. Tempeh, I have tried. I'm personally not a huge fan of that, but there are ways I know you can marinate it and make it taste better. Some people really love it. Like I have had a couple of times like burgers with that,
mhm,
and it was really good in that form. So you can have that, and then what else? I think these are things I normally eat for protein, and then you just add, and then on the days when I know I'm not able to meet my recommended protein
mhm,
intake, I supplement it with plant-based protein powder. I know many people
mm,
are scared of protein powder, that it negatively affects your kidney, but you have to have it at a very high level and not do any physical work for a long time to show it negatively. So it's safe because most of us are actually not. If we are not tracking it, most of us are not overeating or overdoing on protein. We are not even meeting the bare minimum. So
mm,
it's okay to have supplement, but treat it as a supplement. Like don't use that as your main. Like for example, when we are having oats, we add protein powder, like 1 scoop of protein powder to boost up
mm,
the protein. Or like you can make protein waffles, protein pancakes by adding these things. Cottage cheese, like low-fat cottage cheese, is also a good protein source. Or you can have it as a snack with add some protein, add some fruits, some honey for day. And that's how I like to have
right.
it. I know there are many recipes out there. I have not personally tried it where you can make the savory version. You can add like egg
Mm,
if you do eggs, mix that. I also like to do sometimes, like I'm trying to do that for my kids, but it's like take besan, chickpea flour, you mix protein in it and make like a wrap out of it. But you, as with all the sources, have to be mindful of the oil you are adding to make these things, and
right.
just be mindful of the whole portion. Like you should not overdo on calories in order to meet your
Mhm,
goal. So be
right.
mindful about it, how you go about it. Yeah. And also don't start immediately, because many people complain, oh, I was so bloated because I had all this protein. If you're not lots of protein,
Good point.
so don't, so increase it, like let your body get used to the new stuff coming in, because you need the right enzymes to digest the break down the protein and digest it. So if you are eating anywhere from 40 to 50 grams a day, and you double it to 100 grams, of course your body is going to give you a
Yeah,
reaction like, hey, I was not ready for this. So just increase
that's
it
true.
a little. And anyways, if you're not used to adding it, it's like just start slowly,
Right.
start with one meal at a time. That is
Yeah.
easy to incorporate from your own
Mhm.
lifestyle perspective too.
Have you been on a weight loss journey for what feels like most of your life? Have you actually gained more weight over the years instead of losing weight? I know, I've been there. That's happened to me before too. I was following the advice of experts, but it just was not working. In my free masterclass, I share the most common mistakes you could be making that is preventing you from losing weight. Check the link in the description for the replay.
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, like, don't make drastic changes overnight, and don't add like don't do meal replacement where you have like just a protein shake, but instead try to add in as a supplement to what you're already eating, or if you're eating maybe not such a nutritious meal, having that protein shake to supplement that meal. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, increasing it over time, like, we talked about something sustainable, right? Like drastically increasing your protein overnight is not going to help you in the long run, and your body's not going to react well to it. Yeah, those are some really good tips and great options for food to increase protein. You did say like sometimes like our protein source for vegetarians, I'm vegetarian too, can also be like a source of a carb. So, but it's also complex carbs though, right? Because those are usually complex
So no,
carbs.
those are very good. But it's what I'm saying is that you might think, okay, I'm eating this one bowl of dal
Yeah.
and it's protein. What I was saying was it's not all protein, unlike chicken where it would be more protein, right? So it's not all protein. So if you think, okay, it has 10 grams in one bowl, but my coach said I should be eating 25 to 30 grams in a meal, and you're eating 3 bowls, but then you're also having rice or chapati on the side, it's going to add up on that. So this is from weight loss perspective.
Right.
So you balance it, right? You know that I'm getting carbs from here too. Those are good carbs. Those are like you're getting fiber. It's all good stuff here. It's just I was telling from purely like if you're objectively looking at protein content, it's protein, but also a higher percentage of carbs. So
yeah, I think the other thing too, it's like because those types of protein and carbs have fiber in it, like I don't think anybody like eating 3 bowls is actually a lot. Like you're gonna get full before you even get there.
You won't be like,
Yeah.
I cannot imagine me eating 3 bowls of
no.
dal and not feeling full or overfull.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm just giving that an example just for calculation purposes. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
So it's all good source, but just having a bowl of dal with rice is not going to give you that. So what I do is like the easiest addition for me is I just grab a Greek yogurt portion. So that adds up to it. That's very easy to do. And anyways, like I like to include yogurt for probiotic effect anyways. So that's an easy addition for me. And it's something which I almost never have to think about if I have it or not. Sometimes I do like edamame, but that fills me up in a different way. But it's like these easy, sometimes I like even do like something is better than nothing. So I have frozen peas, right? One serving of protein is of peas is 8 grams of protein. So I just add that. It's better than nothing. And again, you're increasing your intake of veggies with this. So it's like just be creative. Okay, what can I add here to make it more balanced? It will not be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect all the time. But you're just once you start thinking that way, you will start to see things in a different light of like, okay, like previously I used to make like pasta was my like Thursday night meal where I'm almost done with my week. I don't want to cook anything elaborate. It was just pasta with some veggies. Now I eat it with more veggies. My kids sometimes don't like to eat. They will just remove the veggies. So we have made sauces many times. Like we add blended, hide the veggies sort of. But it's like how you can add more stuff to it rather than just having plain pasta. So it's like starting that journey, moving in that direction, and then it doesn't need to be perfect every single meal.
Yeah, definitely, because perfect is not realistic. And
Yeah.
you mentioned like frozen peas. So what is your thought on like frozen food versus fresh food? Is it all like, yeah, like I don't know. I feel like frozen gets a bad rep on like, oh, don't ever eat frozen. It has so many preservatives. It's not good for you. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so definitely look at the label to see if there are preservatives added or not. But the way, at least in US, right, it's you're not actually getting local produce almost most of the time. Like I'm at in the Northeast area, so I know I'm not getting fresh produce. So it's traveling
Mm,
from someplace else. So frozen in that case, I think, is fresher in terms of that they pluck it and they freeze it. So it retains more nutritional value if you're thinking fresh milk
mm,
when it was taken off of the plant, other than it's
wow.
like in cold storage and traveling. So, but in India, when I was growing up and even now, like you have local vegetable vendors, like people from villages, farmers come almost
Yeah.
every day and they are bringing fresh produce. So my dad is very big on seasonal produce. Like we almost never
Hmm.
had peas during summertime because it was a winter produce. So I grew up that way. So in my mind, it's still like the reason I don't do too much meal prep or I have like boxes of my curries
Yeah.
prepared, except for like busy when I know there are busy weeks ahead, I do that because it's better than takeout. That's the reason I don't do it.
Hmm.
Like I don't cut my vegetables and just leave them in fridge because of that thinking, but you also have to balance it. Okay, I absolutely don't have time during the week. Am I still going to be hung up about how fresh it is, then not having the time to cook that fresh meal and then ordering
Yeah.
takeout because who knows,
Yeah.
takeout definitely is not healthier in terms of
Yeah.
the quality of oils they're using, how much salt they're adding, and you don't know how
Yeah.
much it is. So you
Yeah.
have to pick based on the week to week. Sometimes it's week to week, but based on the season of your life, you have to pick what is better. Not
Yeah.
always for the perfectionist thing. Like summertime, I have in my vegetable garden. Like I love just plucking tomatoes
Oh,
off
that's
of the plants
cool.
and having them.
Yeah.
Plucking off
Nice.
zucchini and having it cucumbers. I love doing that. I know that yes, this is the freshest I can get, but I don't have that available throughout the year. So frozen,
Yeah.
yes, frozen stuff has bad rep, but all the veggies and all, they are usually not have preservatives added. Check the label for sure. And they're okay to have. They are like quick things to do. Like I almost always have now mixed veggies, right? It's if you have nothing by the end of the week, you have gone through the whole
Yeah.
produce. How are you adding veggies? That's the quick way
Yeah.
to do veggies. You have like leftover rice. I just add some tofu, add lots of frozen veggies. I get my
Hmm.
meal done in 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
that is
That's a
still
good
better
point.
than like during pandemic we used to do a lot of takeout and then you realize like you're waiting 45 minutes for your food. You can go in
Yeah.
the kitchen and make something healthier in
Yeah.
much less time. So have those kind of recipes handy, like how
Yeah.
you can basically piece together a meal.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Like changing that perspective on the frozen food because a lot of frozen foods say like do not thaw out, only use when you're ready to use it, do not refreeze. But that's exactly why, because they pick it at the time where it's like fresh and then it's frozen, so it preserves that freshness until you're ready to use it. And so I think like thinking about frozen food, it should be like maybe limiting like frozen meals, but instead you can use things like frozen vegetables to help supplement meals when you can't necessarily get fresh ones. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's a good clarification.
Mhm.
What is your thought on like why mindset is so important for weight loss?
So mindset I think is important for any goal we are trying to
Yeah.
achieve. But weight loss, because usually that involves increasing your physical activity if you have not been
Yeah.
leading that lifestyle. If you are used to sitting on couch all day, or if you have a sitting job, you're not used to getting up and going out for a walk or going to gym, do a workout, or even at home. So that takes some inertia, and your mind is trying to
Mm.
keep in that comfortable known space. Same thing with food. Food is even bigger. Food is an emotion, especially with South Asians, right? If you're someone who is used to having all these deep fried snacks every evening with their tea, and now you're looking at improving your diet, you're trying to go in a calorie deficit with a combination of right foods and movement, it is going to take that determination at the mindset level, and it's not going to happen on day 1 or even day 10. It is going to take time. You are better off tackling one thing at a time. Like, okay, I will not change anything in my food for now. I'm just going to get up every hour and walk for 5 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. That is the only thing I'm going to do until it becomes a habit to me. So that's why these things show slower results in the beginning, because you're like, okay, but I've been doing this for such long. Like, slow eating. That is, I used to eat slowly as a kid because my dad is very big on chew your food properly. Then you go to school and you have a recess for 20 minutes. You want to finish your food quickly and then go play with your friends. So you get into the habit of studying down your food. And then as adults, you're trying to learn back on how to eat slowly and mindfully. Like, we're so used to screens. Like, I have a very bad habit of just putting something on TV, especially when my kids are not around, because that is my me time. So then you're distracted and trying to eat. So when anything you do, which you're not used to doing, it's going to take a shift in your mindset. You have to know what you were mentioning earlier. You have to know your why you're doing this. What is your reason behind wanting to make this change? And if you do this thing now, how it's going to show up later in terms of results. Or if you don't do it now, yes, you will feel good in your old familiar patterns, but what is going to do to your goals down the road? So it's always sort of, initially you have to put in a lot of active mental work to it. But then eventually, once you start seeing the results, you feel good, you feel motivated. So people think I will do this when I feel motivated, but it's actually the other way around. You do the action first, you see the results, and then the motivation comes automatically. You don't have to force it, or you're not like you're looking at someone, you're motivated for some time. It will wear off. But if you continue to show up, you are seeing the results and it's going to give you that motivation. Or like you're someone with low energy. Like many times PCOS patients people have issues with energy level, they have issues with mood level, and it's understandable. Your hormones are not how they should be. But then you start to put these lifestyle changes and you start to see better energy, you start to see better mood, you see less of PMS symptoms.
Right.
And you will feel motivated. Oh, I did this last month or last 3 months and I didn't have that painful period this time, or I had lots of energy to do many other things throughout the week. So you would automatically want to repeat that. So, but the mindset comes in where you have to first actively make that choice and understand that why your mind is resisting it, but also the reason why it's resisting is you can use it to your advantage. Once you do something enough times, your mind will get used to that also.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, like, even with my approach, it's like a holistic approach, meaning it's not just like diet, exercise, it's everything. Like mindset and connecting with your why is what will get you through being consistent and self-accountable, self-motivated. Yeah. So
no, I mean, I say this all the time and it's not a joke. I'm a very lazy person by nature. If I know my health is not going to be affected in any negative way, I would be very happy sitting on the couch all day and just watching Netflix.
We all would. Who wants, like, that's so
like
chill.
some people have this thing of going out and doing something. I don't get that too many times. Or maybe once I actually do that, maybe I will feel bored enough to go out. But at this point, it seems like, I can easily sit on couch, do nothing, and be happy. So I have to. So that mindset is, you have to know why you're doing this, right?
So, exactly. Yeah. I had one more question. So I know we talked about like a lot of the like protein and food part of it, mindset, but what about like sleep? A lot of times, like being a busy mom, being busy professionals, like how do we find 5 to 10 minutes in our day to incorporate these healthy things without sacrificing sleep?
Yeah, so that is very important, like sleep with, but almost always the neglected part of
Yes.
trying to focus on that, because somewhere in this, like now we have a lot of hustle culture, but you always grew up hearing this story of how someone used to sleep only for 4 hours and they are a great leader, they are this, that. So from career perspective, you are in this that, oh, of course I'm going to hustle, I'm going to put all these long hours in. I myself growing up, like naturally I'm a night person, that my mind works better at nighttime. So I would hardly study during daytime, and I was always up many times during exam, almost all night. My mind is definitely more active at that time. And yes, you are either a morning person or a night person. But as you're growing up and you're becoming elder, to acquire, there's lots of knowledge around, and you start to understand why sleep is important. So sleep is not just that you go to bed and yes, you need that rest. It's not just physical rest. There are lots of things our bodies are doing when we are sleeping. They are regulating the hormones. Yes, they are going through the daily recharge part, but the reason now it's like you should be more connected to circadian rhythm, which is go along with the cycle of sun, is our bodies work that way. And I was listening to a podcast a few days back, and they mentioned this, that so there is a tribe in Africa, and they were saying, like, if you look at animals, they are nocturnal animals and daytime animals, and they never change their rhythm. You will not see nocturnal animals up at daytime, and you will never see daytime animals up at nighttime. Only humans do that. And it's big, just because we have the ability to do that, or we think we have the ability to do that. But what it does, especially for weight loss, not just for weight loss, even for overall health, if you're not sleeping well, your hunger hormone, ghrelin, is going to get affected. Your stress hormone, cortisol, is going to get affected. You have your leptin hormone, which will tell you, again, related to food, it's going to get affected. And then, sure, you know this, even without knowing about these hormones, that if you're not sleeping well, you feel groggy, you feel moody, you might get irritated more easily than on the days you sleep well. But it is all these symptoms are coming from because your hormones are not out of their regular rhythm, and because your hormones are not telling you, like, they're not giving you the fullness cues, the hunger cues properly. And they also think like something is wrong with your body, right? So our natural state would be to go for fatty food, go for salty foods, because we are trying to compensate for something which didn't happen because we were not eating properly. It happened because we didn't sleep well, and our hormones didn't get time to reset their whole cycle. So that negatively affects everything. So from weight loss perspective, you will end up snacking more. You will end up eating or making poorer choices as compared to when you're getting a good sleep. And that will end up messing up with your calorie intake, and you will have a hard time losing weight. But even if you are controlling your calorie intake, what about cortisol? Your stress hormone fights against all, like, it's not going to let you lose weight when it thinks something is wrong with your body, right? So it's going to preserve all of that. So it's going to make your weight loss difficult. So that's why second time around after my son, I was like, okay, it's stupid for me to be up 4 times at night time because my baby was up. Then wake up at 4:30 to do a workout because I have to leave work early. But that was what was like when you are like part of these clubs, or like you, like, I know where these things are coming from, like 5 a.m. wake up at 5 a.m., have this an hour of workout, have your morning routine. It works well for many people, but for people with small kids, especially moms, like when you're breastfeeding, or even if you're not, like you have little kids, you cannot control these things. You can
Yeah.
make your plan, but you cannot predict how the night will go with your baby. So try to focus on your sleep first so that you're not messing up all these things. So that's why these 5 to 10 minute actions become important, because you might not have that whole chunk of time. So you
Yeah.
incorporate shorter workouts. You break down your walk. If you don't have time for an hour of walk, you break it down into chunk of
Right.
pieces. You get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there. Yes, if you're used to working out for an hour, you will think, what is 15 minutes going to do? It's going to do more than 0 minutes.
Zero. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's why I am big, because that's where I started my journey. I'm not in the newborn phase anymore, but I still have my son who's not sleep trained, so he can wake up anytime.
Yeah.
Teething issues or anything is bothering him, he will wake up. So I'm still in that mindset. I'm still in that phase of my life where the smaller actions
Right.
but consistent actions make more sense, are more practical, and I know I can do them over relying on the fact that I planned a workout at 5:30 and it's going to happen. So I mean, on the days I can do it, of course I plan it that way so that I see the time and everything went well. So I will go and do it. But on days I cannot, just have these pockets like dance session with your kids. It's fun. Like you might not even be thinking about how many calories I'm going to burn. It's just something fun for the kids. It gets their wiggles out, and you're just like, I love dancing. So you're just doing something. But then you know, rather than giving them a screen, sitting on the couch, you can do this activity. They will be happy. You will be happy. So do whatever. Go out for walks with them. If they're sleeping, like we do even on weekends now, that I put our son in stroller around his nap time. He's napping in the stroller and we are doing our walk. So rather than saying it's baby's nap time, if your baby is okay in the stroller, can sleep, you can go out and get your activity in. So be creative in all that, and definitely don't think 10-minute actions won't give any result. They will keep your body primed for when you have that time to do longer workouts. You're not starting from scratch. You are already building up your skin step by step, little workout.
Yeah, I think it's like being creative and finding that time in between your lifestyle, instead of trying to be like, I have to make 1 hour to do this, but that's not practical. And like you're saying, it's kind of like you have a bucket, and if you're putting like a drop of water, eventually the bucket's going to get full, as opposed to you're trying to just do everything at once, and nothing happens consistently in the long run. So those are some great tips. Thank you. Thank you for sharing like all your insight on these topics. I think that it gives a lot of people, it addresses a lot of the common like misconceptions of how we should be doing things, and like, following certain diet plans or meal plans, and, taking that hour out, waking up at 5 a.m. So I like the perspective you added, that we don't have to do those things. We can make like living healthy part of our lifestyle, and doing what's practical and works for you. What are the best ways that our community can connect with you? Where can they find you? If they have questions, where can they reach out?
Sure. So people can find me on Instagram at Fitness in Bites. And this name goes back to me implementing bite-sized action tips for myself. And now my niche is that where women are busy. So that my name reflects that. Instagram is where they can find me, follow me, send me DM if you have any questions. I'll be there to answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for your time and knowledge. And for everyone watching and listening, until next time, be kind to yourself, be patient, and focus on progress, not perfection. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for it was really good.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new, please share it with someone who can also benefit from it. I'd love to connect with you. Send me a DM on Instagram at holistic.hormones.pharmacist.